we should not be saying happy. And I've given the example of if this was January 11th, you will not be saying Happy New Year.
But it's different. No,
I want to hear from
a new year. A new year is a new year.
Now, when you are done,
a new year is a new year.
No.
A new year
today,
is a new
there's no need for a debate, so we'll just move on. But gentlemen, you're both looking good. Mr. Ade, you're looking really good.
I'm looking good and confrontational.
Yes, looking good. Looking good there.
Yes.
Yes, so moving on. Good morning once again. As usual, we have the African proverb, we have the newspaper review. Our guest is already here, Ade Durami, to help us analyze some of the stories that we have. And on Community Watch, we'll be joined by Alassane Senghor, Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross, and he'll be talking to us about relief response. We all know how Gambians are suffering as we speak when it comes to flooding. The heavy downpour from last weekend,
terrible,
devastating. So he will join us here. I can quote him. He talked about the fact that relief is not relief till it gets there early. So when he comes, he'll talk to us about some of the measures that they're trying to put in place. But gentlemen, before we head to the African proverb, please allow me to flex a little bit. So Ya Lady is a new makeup brand in the Gambia, owned by a Gambian. As you can see, the makeup from everything from you're Jaina, but come on to my store, get all the products that you want. So it was open for me to pick any products that I want here, and this is what I'll be using forever because it matches my skin tone. I love it. They're just right there along the Turntable Highway, shop number 18. It's actually a new building there. It's just so easy. Ya Lady, shop number 18. Please head right on there, get your makeup products.
So
you see me, I'm glowing,
we're looking
and
for
I love
Ya
it.
Gentleman now.
Gentleman.
Yeah.
So
where's
what
Ya
does
Gentleman?
the concealer do? I mean,
so the concealer, you put it under the brow to actually make it pop out. And as you can see, look at my nude lipstick. Oh my God. Isn't this pretty?
It's glowing.
Look at my foundation, my powder, everything is perfect. So Ya Lady is the brand. It's a Gambian brand. Please do not use any other brand that is not Gambian. Let us support our very own.
Our own.
Please. What is our African proverb?
Fire
Oh yeah, I mean, Ya Lady there. Do not blame God for having to create the tiger, but thank God for not giving it wings to fly.
I don't even know where to begin. So
do not blame God for having to create the tiger, but thank God for not giving it wings to fly.
The tiger is a ferocious beast, as you know, and it can still hunt its prey with some speed, even though it doesn't have wings to fly. But I guess if it did have wings, it would be even more terrifying. That's taking it in its literal sense, but in a kind of metaphorical sense, I'm trying to work out, because when I read it, I was thinking, what's the metaphor? What are they trying to get at? That there are some fearsome things.
It might be dangerous.
Yes.
But you have to thank God that, I mean,
it's not even more
at
dangerous.
some point, the danger is not getting to you. I mean, we all know tigers are very dangerous.
Yes.
But let's thank God, no matter how dangerous they are not getting to you because of so and so reasons.
Yes.
Imagine if a tiger was able to fly. I mean, I don't think we'll have it. Then therefore, all this overpopulation in the, I mean, we complain about. We won't complain about it.
So for me, this particular proverb is showing me how much each individual has a limit to what you can do. Like there's always a limit.
Including the tiger.
Yes, including the tiger has its limit.
Yes.
Fine, it's a dangerous animal. It runs fast and does whatever, but it can't fly. That is the reason, because it has to have its limit for other living things to continue.
It's a good interpretation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's about limits that I have also to myself. Whatever I do, no matter how much I do, whatever, there always may be mentors that I have that I'm going to reach out to say, hey, Mr. Ade, I'm doing this. What do you think about it? Hey, I'm going through this. What do you think? So nobody is, good enough generally on their own. You always have a limit where to stop, and then someone is going to take it from there. And then you have to also depend on another person for things to work for you.
That's a good
so
interpretation.
That is my interpretation.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Yes, that things, they have their limits. The tiger is ferocious, it's good, it can run, it can kill, but it can't fly. Thank God it can't fly.
Yeah, thank God.
Because it will be, but as you rightly say, we all have things that we can do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we use the phrase in the in the office, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Know your limitations.
Exactly.
Do the best that you can with what you have.
And thing is, if if everyone is able to do everything, then there will be no things will not be divided. So it's just even God's creation where people have different talents. This person has talent for this person have talent for this. You can't have talent for everything. You know, each person, exactly, each person has your talent, you have your limit, and then that brings about the interrelationship that we have, because no matter what, if you can't do it all, then you have to depend on this person and this person has to. So I think it's a really good,
and our limitations this morning, both Balde and myself, extend to the fact that we wouldn't look very good with makeup and lipstick.
Absolutely.
It's not for everybody.
Look at me, just look at me, guys. Yeah, lady, like, look at me right now. Gentlemen, please.
Yeah, it's like we said, you've made us jealous, and we want gentleman next.
You know, I've once tried makeup on me. I've tried makeup on me.
But you know, sometimes
the foundation,
powder,
I think
but sometimes when you go to these, you know, you go to CNN, Al Jazeera, they put you in a makeup room and they apply makeup, they take away all the shine.
I think 5 years ago, but since then I've never tried it
but
again.
It's so normal.
Just once or for a few days?
Yes, for once. I looked very black, I looked very dark on screen. So, I mean, I didn't repeat it anymore.
No, you don't want to look dark on screen.
I don't want to
you're
look
dark.
You are.
Not very, very dark. Although I'm dark, but not very, very dark.
So that's it.
It's a good proverb. And I love that interpretation. I love that.
But why hold on, man?
No, I'm concentrating on Ya Lady. So
Ya Lady.
Yes. So let's focus on Ya Lady.
So let's just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the newspaper review.
Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, Crystal UHD Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at QCell Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boost Turntable. Contact us on 333-3217 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm.
From that break, if you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now, Ibrahim, we head right on to the newspaper review.
Now the newspaper review, and this is the point, and some of the headlines read: Justice Minister reaffirms government commitment to improving legal institutional framework, and of course, vacation judge to hear Sainabu and co-bail application today. And we have Banjul flood victims express disappointment with Barrow, and secret negotiation between the Senegalese state and MFDC should lead to lasting peace.
We pray.
Yeah, so that's what we have on the point.
Yes, so this is for air. It says Banjul flood victims say they want to return to their homes. Is that realistic at this point in time with the situation?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, not at the moment.
It is still raining.
Yes, so NAWEC takes full responsibility for all spill damages in Kimbuje, and also CJ to reassign Bob Keita's ex-wife bail application.
Chief Justice.
Yes. And there's also need on the editorial to monitor the commodity market. Yes, so that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. So, Banjul flood victims say they want to return to their homes. I think this situation that we're into currently, we should approach collectively in a positive way and kind of set aside the blame game. Fine, I'm not in the situation. Obviously, when you're there, you're frustrated. We understand that.
Sure.
But then also sparking controversy around it, is that the solution?
I'm glad you said that, because when I heard the thing there about them blaming Barrow, I saw the statement by the president on the piece that we did. Luckily, our colleague Ansumane Sonyasi was there.
Right in time.
So, and he was one of the, I think he was the only journalist there. The president was saying, you know, when this thing floods, it affects everybody. It doesn't just affect people who belong to one political party or another. And so, you know, rather than blaming each other, we have to be realistic and be honest and say, what can we do to fix it?
Yeah.
And in fixing it, we all benefit. So you're right. I mean, you know, people want to politicize it and so on. And you know what? We need to grow up and be bigger than that. We say this disaster has happened. Let's not start pointing fingers and saying, you see, if this party was in power, this wouldn't have happened. I'm sorry, you would have stopped the rain. It's ridiculous. You know, things happen, and now that they've happened, how can we address them? As to those people returning to their homes, as you also said, it's not realistic right now. There's a lot that needs to be done, and the rains are still coming. So, you know, if the rains are still coming and we're not pumping the areas enough to sort of release and get relief from the flood water, then it's not realistic.
And part of that as well, when it comes to the blame game, it is important that we understand that this particular flood that we are talking about is not just unique to Gambia, because if you take a look at the car is also going through the same thing.
It's worldwide,
so it's worldwide. So people are trying to, like, you know, borrow this person, that. No, it's everywhere. Well,
the reason I say worldwide, just before I came on, I was watching on DW, Deutsche Welle, in Seoul, South Korea. Floods over the weekend have led to 11 deaths. Unprecedented rainfall, the likes they've never seen before. And this is one of the best designed cities in the world. So, you know, if 11 people can die as a result of flooding in Seoul, in South Korea, then, you know, we need to get real.
Well, I've also seen a video circulating on social media, and that video is showing Dubai. I mean, some areas of Dubai been flooded.
Right.
So I think it's more of a global problem at the moment. I mean,
particularly for cities that are low-lying, that either below sea level or just above sea level. So you take Banjul,
has been there.
You know, 20 years ago they were saying Banjul was just 1 meter above sea level. Well, we keep hearing about sea level rises, and then when you have rainfall plus sea level rises, then it puts Banjul in danger of either being really much further above, you know, it lessens how much it is above, or it puts it below sea level. So
and these
it's
are
very
things
dangerous.
that we know. You know, this is not information that we are getting today. You know, we've been talking about it for so long. So, you know,
what are we doing about it?
Well,
that's the question. Action.
When I was going to school, one of our teachers came into the classroom and said to us, I mean, do you know Banjul will be, like, the whole Banjul will be flooded in 50 years to come? You know, I said, how did you find out? He said, we've been doing our research. You know, so when this thing happened, you know, that clicked my mind. I said, maybe this is going to happen soon.
Well, I mentioned it's probably on Week in Review when I was discussing with Mboj, that my ex-wife sent me about 6 weeks ago. So this was before we'd had any serious rainfall. She said, you live just outside Banjul. Are you aware that it's one of the 10 capital cities that's in danger of being submerged completely in the next 10, 15 years? And at the time I just said, I said, we've been hearing that for, but of course I didn't realize that we were going to get unprecedented rainfall. We'd been told that we'd get higher than normal rainfall, but I don't think even the ones who predicted did not predict that it would be as bad as it has been. It's been astonishing.
Well, now here the work of our experts will come into place. Look at, I mean, how to structure Banjul again. I mean, the structural system in Banjul is a problem, Mr. Adi. I mean, I think this is the right time now, I mean, to look at it so that such a thing will not repeat itself again.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a country like Gambia where it's completely flat. The Netherlands, Holland, is the same. And they are world experts in how to mitigate against flooding that would overwhelm a city. So I've always said this, people need to call in the Dutch and say, how have you managed to do it for 50, 60, 80, close to 100 years that you have not been submerged when you are also a low-lying country that's flat? There are no hills or mountains anywhere in Holland. The whole country is flat. And yet they've done brilliantly. And in fact, people do call them from around the world to come and advise them on how, and we should reach out to them. You know, we're always reaching out to these ambassadors and so on and saying, you know, well, we should reach out to whoever the Dutch ambassador is. He's probably based in Senegal. reach out to him or her and say, you know, can they come and help us here?
Yeah, so they are talking about on the Fourier editorial about the need to monitor the commodity market. You know, talking about the fact that sometimes there's fake drugs. Fake drugs. We did a story recently on expired fake drugs. You know, and how this is a cause for swollen stomachs, liver cancer, kidney failures, and other diseases are increasing, even when it comes to malnutrition in relation to poor food quality.
Sure. I mean, our colleague Choi has done a couple of stories, I think, including the most recent one, which was that the FSQA and the Medicines Control Agency don't have their own labs for testing.
True.
These things you're talking about, it's about enforcement, and we keep going on about, you know, lack of enforcement in every sphere of life. It's like, you know, we have all these laws that if you put a shelf, the shelf would break under the weight of all the laws we have. But when it comes to implementation, when it comes to enforcement, that is not happening. People should be going down. Listen, if a shop is found to be selling expired goods, they haven't done it by accident, close them down for 3 months. Trust me, they will stop.
Let me say my part, Mr.
Forget about finding them.
There was a time not long ago, I mean, there was a shop that is found. It is alleged that the shop been selling expired drugs. To my surprise, last week I passed and I saw that shop open, operating 100%.
Well, if it's the same one, we were told we were told about one that was closed for 2 weeks and fined, because that was what the law allows them.
In Latrikunda.
That's what the law allows them to do. So they can't do more than the law allows.
Exactly, and they have a license.
That's right.
Anyway.
If the law says if you are found to be selling this, what we need to do is strengthen those laws, because as you say, look, when it comes to medicines, it's an important thing. I mean, in Nigeria 20 years ago, they closed lots of pharmacies down when they found out a lot of the pills they were selling were just chalk. And people were taking these for serious ailments.
And then liver, and of course, they will have liver problems.
You know, so of course they're never going to get well because you're not selling them anything that's going to improve their health.
You know what happened
to
me?
You need to be stronger.
Last week, there's this shop that someone introduced me to. They sell grilled fish. The shop is in Bakau. I'm going to call HN immediately. It just came to my mind. I wanted to call them just so they visit them to just inspect them. Mr. Ade, I'm used to whenever I close work because I'm so tired, I'll eat in the car. Like when I buy the food for dinner, I'll start taking.
I hope you're not one of these people who once you finish eating, you throw it.
No, I
because
don't
I see that all
I actually always say no to that. No.
Cool,
well, I don't finish it along the way. I go home with it.
Good.
So I was actually planning to take some of the vegetables to eat them while I'm in the car. I put the light on in the car, open the foil.
You saw
I saw a live cockroach with antennas moving.
I was thinking you'll say maggot.
No.
I told you about it.
You told me about it.
I had to run to Mr. Ade to say, I saw the antennas it's moving.
That is
like cockroach?
This way.
Cockroach.
I
mean, that is horrifying. And, you know, for me, it signifies how little we pay, how little attention we pay to food hygiene.
So are you going to eat? Balde, I bought this food for 300. If that was you remove the cockroach, eat the food.
I'll just remove the cockroach, clear that part. And continue eating.
And of course, there are people who, if you go online, you'll see people. There are people who eat cockroaches. Usually, they fry them, mind you, or grill them.
There's no way. There's no law in the Gambia that says cockroach is not eatable in the Gambia. Is there any law?
There's a law that says it shouldn't be in your food. But you know, there's a restaurant on Kairaba Avenue, and I went there and I saw that. Like many things, they had a drain that led from the kitchen out onto Kairaba Avenue, but then the drain stopped. So what happened was this water was gathering and you could see the kind of mosquitoes dancing on the thing. So I said to them, are you not going to clear this? And the guy said, he went in and called the guy from the kitchen. I said, why isn't this cleared, you know? I went there 2 days later, it still hadn't been cleared. And I said to the guy, I said, I was here 2 days ago, and I said, let me tell you this. I said, I will never eat in your establishment, and I will tell any of my friends, I will name you to my friends, and I will tell them not to eat in your establishment. I said, this is disgusting. This is right next to where you have tables set out for people to eat. And this festering water is gathering there. And so we just pay too little attention to things like this. We've just done a story about Coastal Road Market, where people are selling food in the most disgusting conditions.
You know, at some point, people underestimate those little mosquitoes you're seeing there. I mean, those are the mosquitoes that will take the, like, I mean, this thing from the gutter itself and put it in your food.
It's
without
or give you serious malaria, of course.
Anyway,
you know.
So you bought it for 300?
I bought it for 300.
Oh,
Then
you won't be going there again.
It's done for me, and I'll tell people they have to regulate themselves.
You know, before before we forget, and I did point Balde to this story inside the point. We've had an historic happening in sports, and we've not mentioned it.
Exactly, I was going to come to that right away.
It's Hawks.
Yeah.
They've won the top division for the first time in 26 years. And I know Gajaga's been away in Birmingham covering the Commonwealth Games, but I think we should have recognized and said congratulations to Hawks FC for winning the top division. I mean, they won it with a game to spare because they won and Real de Banjul could only draw. And so it meant they had a 6-point advantage with only one game to play, so they could not be overtaken. So to Hawks FC, I say congratulations on your first title in 26 years.
Why did it take them so long? 26 years. Well, have you been watching their games to actually?
No, I've not. I mean, but you say that because if you remember last year, you had Fortune FC. They'd never won it before, and they won the top division. So these are strange times, you know. And this one was. It was looking like it was going to be a tight contest right down to the last game. But as I said, because Real de Banjul could only draw, it meant that Hawks did not need to win another game. You know, and there was. But yeah, it's a difficult question that you know.
We need to find out.
Well, look, you go to England. It took Liverpool 30 years before they won the top division. I mean, when they last won it before the 30-year gap, they had won it, I don't know, 7 times in the previous 12 years. So they were like the top team. So nobody imagined that it would take them 30 years before they could win it. Even Manchester United, before they won it under Sir Alex Ferguson, they went 26 years before they won it. So it can happen.
So I saw Manchester United was playing with...
Oh, stop it. Don't even
Where
go
are the
there.
Manchester fans? But you know, I used to like Manchester... Because of the hype and stuff.
You still have to like them.
I love Manchester. You know why? There's a lot of hype with Manchester.
There will always be hype.
There's something classy.
There's
something classy about Manchester.
I'm in a WhatsApp group that is supposed to be about football. And I can tell you, whether Manchester United win or lose or draw, all the talk on the group, we have people from Liverpool supporters, Chelsea supporters, Man City. And I always say to them, guys, get a life. Talk about your own club. Why must you always talk about Man U? It's like, so that there's always that hype.
But Manchester,
they lost.
Manchester, it's like classy. It's so classy. I see a lot of class around Manchester.
But of course, you know, both of my parents were Man United fans, and so I grew up. It's like the only team for me, and they've always been the only team for me.
Oh, nice.
My
but you're such a loyal fan. You're still with them no matter what.
Football is like that, and you know, somebody again joked in the group just yesterday. Said, you know, he said people get divorced, but they never divorce their football team, no matter how badly they do.
No matter how badly.
Football can be like that.
Yeah, you are Manchester.
Manchester.
What are you?
You see, it's only here in Africa people always say Manchester.
You know, I've tried to relieve myself from the stress of supporting teams. I mean, I'm that type of a person who don't follow teams, who don't kill myself to go with games.
For me, I'm Manchester because I don't know about the games that they play, but they're so classy.
Can you name a player?
Classy.
We've had Beckham, we've had Ronaldo.
People like Beckham. Oh my God!
You know,
imagine that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They're so classy.
And Cristiano Ronaldo, and before that, of course, we had people like George Best. You know, long before any of you were born.
David Beckham, who's now a model.
Yeah, quite.
In Manchester.
David Beckham is so many things. He's probably the richest footballer. I mean, he's a businessman. I mean, you know, he has his own perfume and blah blah blah. You know, and he, of course, he made his name at Manchester United, of course. And he had always supported Manchester United, even though he grew up and was born in London. But he was a big Manchester United fan. So when he signed for United, it was a great thing. Yeah, it was a huge thing for him. And of course, he went on to be one of our greatest stars.
Oh, nice. All right.
So do we have more time, or we run out?
I think, we can go with one story.
Cool.
Yeah,
just one. Before we leave. Ibrahim, I think
do you want to take the vacation judge one?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Now, the reason I wanted to take that one is because when this trial this baby Mohammed trial, etc., was going on, we were discussing in the office, and somebody said, but the courts are going to go on vacation. And I said, but no, they always have judges who actually get to sit through vacation. So, cases are not delayed, and not everything comes to a halt just because the judiciary are on vacation. And this, I'm glad this story, because it proves the point that I wasn't talking rubbish. Because I was trying to explain to the person how vacation judges sit, and the fact that they do get to hear cases.
The last time we were talking about reforms in our judiciary, the fact that people are locked up for so long without, judging them. That's dangerous, because sometimes people are innocent, they're locked up, and you just wasted their lives.
It's the worst one that I've experienced since I came to the Gambia. Somebody who was in prison for 2 years on remand, and then when the court case finally came to trial, he was found not guilty.
He's already
served the prison.
Well, that happens.
I couldn't believe it. But it's in the police magazine, so it wasn't that somebody, because they were concerned that this sort of situation could happen, and they were saying that things need to be improved.
Things need to be
improved. I watched a documentary yesterday, about, it's on FBI files. So in the US, they're trying to see how best to put things together so that people are not remanded for so long without any justice, you understand? So I think our justice system should look at this. I'm saying the justice minister saying justice ministry affirm government's commitment to legal institutional framework.
Yes, I mean, lots of things need to change. It's always surprised me, because when you go to something like UTG convocation, the lawyers almost outstrip every other, people who studied law. So theoretically, there should be lots of people to, in the legal profession to do the case.
People but do study law, it doesn't mean they're going to go to the
practice.
bar.
Exactly.
That's
right. Exactly.
Some people just want to study law, kind of have an idea of what the law says, combining it with the profession that they have, rather than going to,
I mean, I started off at university studying law, but I've always admitted to this. I found it too difficult.
Really?
Well, no, yes and no.
The fact that you have to cram things.
I felt a lot of pressure because I grew up in a family where my father was a lawyer. My mother's 2 sisters were both married to lawyers, and I had 3 cousins who were lawyers. So it's like they always assumed that all of us would go. Well, they always assumed that everyone. So even from a young age, even though I had an interest in it, there was always an assumption that I would also go into the law, and also because people always felt that I was the one closest to my father. We had the kind of same mentality and ideas about things. It was assumed, but I always felt a lot of pressure because my father was a very good lawyer, and I think that pressure was why I didn't, because I always felt I would not measure up to
his standards.
Oh, nice. So I switched.
But look at you now. If you studied law, we will not have you here. So it's good. That is why you should not blame God for having to create a tiger, but thank God for not giving it wings. Everyone is going to find themselves where they need to belong and just fit in.
Quite. And before I go, just very quickly, there's a magazine called, I think it's called The Atlantic. They do a series of stories, and they wanted people to send a story about their lives. So I wrote about the first time I traveled from England to Sierra Leone with my parents, and it should come out this week or next week.
Oh, nice.
So I'll circulate it. And and it's also it's kind of based on, people kept saying to me, write your biography. So it's kind of like the first chapter of my autobiography. So I'll circulate it when it comes out.
I'll do one at some point.
Right?
Yes, when you've lived.
Interesting story.
When you've lived.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Ade, for joining us. All right, so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the community watch. Do stay tuned.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
to build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
with ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, we innovate, others follow. As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network. Your favorite QCell service has gotten bigger. Kanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75 and $100 and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10 to $100 using Kanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy Q-Power, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS. Kanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, the pioneers of mobile loan service in the Gambia. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Ibrahim?
Yes. We are back again and on Community Watch. Like we mentioned,
yes, we're joined by
the Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross, Mr. Lassan Senghor, and he's already with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Senghor, for joining us and catching up. You know, I saw, you know, a quotation that you made recently about how relief has to be fast. You know, the moment it is not, then one can question if it is relief or not. And we've seen how, you know, you've been assessing and, you know, doing all the necessary things. Today I just met some of the Gambia Red Cross on the radio here, you know, talking about some of the flood issues, and the list goes on. So how has the Gambia Red Cross been approaching this whole situation since last weekend's heavy downpour?
Thank you very much, Jainaba, and good morning to all viewers. I think I always say this is our core business, and of course it should be the core business of everyone. I mean, we know floods and disasters do happen, so therefore we have to prepare. We have to first have a preparedness plan, a well-defined preparedness plan with a strategy that includes everything, all types of disasters. So when it strikes, you are able to respond in a timely manner. I always say, as you indicated, relief is not relief when it comes late. Yes. So it should be there when it's needed. So what we've done over the years is to develop a plan for floods and other disaster windstorms and of course, what we do basically is to prepare, train, restock, pre-position stock that would be needed, because we know when there are floods, these are the things that are needed. Right. These are, so therefore, you don't need to go back and start buying stuff and organizing yourself. You would have already prepared a plan that includes where you pre-position stock, what you need, and train the staff, train the volunteers, and pre-position them at locations where they can be accessible easily. And then you look at your timing. in terms of responding. And what we've tried to do over the years, these past few years, is to ensure that we close the gap between when the disaster happens and the time we respond. 2.5 years ago, it was about 24 hours or even beyond. Last year, we tried 8 hours. This time, at least it was less than 8 hours, about 5 hours.
Nice.
What it means basically for us is that we, first and foremost, is the information that we get. And we are lucky that we work with volunteers who are part of those communities. So as it happens,
then
they're able to communicate to us that it's raining and there's flooding or likelihood of flooding. So we immediately mobilize the teams to go and meet and start preparing. And we move as soon as it is possible. So this is basically how we...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Senghor, once again for coming on this platform. Well, I've seen your team busy in Banjul. I mean, they've been doing a whole lot of humanitarian work there. And I've even seen a video circulating where people are thanking the Gambia Red Cross. So how far have you gone in helping these people in Banjul?
Well, basically, the Banjul, West Coast, KM, and even URR North Bank are affected. But of course, when we do respond, we assess based on where it is more serious. I mean, and Banjul is very serious. I mean, this is where we have a huge number of people affected, a huge number of households. So what we do in Banjul basically and everywhere else, in the first hours of the flooding, our teams were in there assessing, but at the same time providing some response. And we were providing what was needed because people needed blankets to cover themselves because everything was wet. They needed mosquito nets, they needed buckets and water purification tablets and all this sort of things. So we were able to provide those things from the first hours. And as we do that, we also assess what are the needs. So you have first and foremost the emergency phase where you look at the acute and immediate needs and you respond to that. And then you look at the medium and the long-term recovery. And each phase, you have to have what you do at each of those phases and not necessarily the same thing that you do.
Yeah, so, you know, what is the relationship of the Gambia Red Cross with other bodies? Bodies such as the NDMA and just other bodies that are responsible for coordinating or, you know, doing anything that has to do with disaster. What is the relationship, you know? Because sometimes we see that, you know, things are not quite coordinated between all of these stakeholders, which is sad because that's the only way we can at some point move from the response that we continue doing and putting in the proper roadmap to really mitigate. So what's the relationship?
You know, I think the NDMA was created by Act of Parliament, by the government, to coordinate for government all the disasters, response, preparedness and response. Red Cross was equally created by an Act of Parliament to complement the efforts of government. So it's an auxiliary to government. Now, but we all have our modus operandi, the way we do business. In the sense that NDMA's role is basically to have a national coordination role. And you don't have to ask me what coordination means because every individual has an answer, a different answer to it. But in my view, coordination is around NDMA is supposed to look at it at a national level and then bring all the partners together and then work through a strategy and then look at the needs. And once the needs are known and identified, and they look at the capacities and the resources that are available in different institutions and organizations, and then apportion who is best placed to do what and where. And that's basically what is supposed to be the NDMA's role. in my view.
Okay. But is that what is happening? That's
well,
my question.
Well,
you're judging.
I leave that to NDMA to respond.
Yeah, but that is for NDMA, but that is for stakeholders like you to also point out, you know, issues as such.
In my view, I think, to be quite honest,
yes.
I think, you know, NDMA is doing what it can, but it's not really what coordination they're supposed to be doing in terms of looking at the big picture and apportioning who does what. Probably it's a way of perception. It used to happen in the past, in my honest view. I think there were a number of times where NDMA would really sit everyone and then allow people to go. But I think along the way, they really lost track, and they need to reorganize themselves to really focus on their core mandate. For the rest,
so what's your recommendation? Where should they start from? Now that, you know, it's not what it is, so where should they start from?
Well, I wouldn't say it's not what it is. I think they need to adjust. Yeah, they're supposed to adjust the way of working. Their strategy, they need to get it right. So it's about strategizing. What is, you go back to the act, because they go on saying NDMA is supposed to coordinate, but what does coordination mean? In my view, coordination means looking at the needs, looking at the mandates, and then looking at who can do what, and then help people to do what they are supposed to do, and provide them with the policy and the resources and the support that they need to do it.
Absolutely.
As opposed to doing, you know, trying to do it with them.
Okay, so you're trying to say they're too single-handedly handling
Not necessarily. I think they are trying. I think the point is that, I mean, they need to fine-tune what they do to restrict themselves from the temptation of being too involved in the operation, but to lift themselves to be able to have an overview and to coordinate who does what where, and to do quality control standards and all this.
I understand what Mr. Senghor is saying, the manner in which they are doing it. I mean, the way of doing it might be a little bit lacking, but they might be doing it. People might see NDMA doing other activities, but the way they are doing it. So what is happening in Basse?
Well, what is happening in Basse is what has happened in KM and what has happened in West Coast. I think the flooding has affected some households. And in what we have seen is basically that there are two different approaches in terms of responding. What happened in KM and West Coast and Basse are basically, you know, the houses that have, you know, come down because of the rain, heavy rain. There has been flooding in some areas and the like. In KM, like Ibo Town and some other places, you even have houses that are still inside, water is still in the houses and so on. And in Banjul it's even worse, where most of these houses are still standing but full of water. And then people can't go on with their livelihood. So the approaches are completely different. So what we've done basically is that we've provided the basic necessities like blankets, mosquito nets, mats, wherever it's applicable, and water purification tablets and hygiene kits and so on. But the approach in Banjul is completely different. What we've done is people who can no longer live in their houses have been camped, were camped at St. Joseph. We just moved them now to St. Augustine because the number is swelling, and we need to organize it a bit. And then we are providing health care, especially to those who are trapped in their houses. We have our teams going around checking on blood pressures and others who are not well. So we have a mobile health team that is going around in Tobacco, particularly providing health care. We are also infection prevention, purification of water, and even disinfecting the water. And yesterday we've seen our teams going around in Tobacco Road because the water had changed color. So we've been putting we've been putting chlorine and other things to ensure that there's no, I mean, we reduce the odor and all these other things. So this is having a great impact. So what the next step is basically we're going to provide, you know, some cash cash transfer. We are targeting about over 600 families. The total number, as we speak, it's increasing. We have almost about 18,000 people, almost about over 1,600 households that are affected countrywide.
Okay, so how much are we looking at here?
How much in terms of
the cash transfer?
Well, for us, Red Cross, we have a system where we do prepare and pre-position stock, we respond. And then we have what we call disaster response emergency fund that is available in Geneva.
Right.
So within the first few hours, exactly,
the COVID-19 was tackled.
The first few hours you are able to access. We've accessed almost about 350,000 Swiss francs that we're going to use for countrywide response. So we have a package which is will continue the health delivery. We will give cash to help the household for their livelihood, number of households. We will give some houses that are damaged or partially destroyed. We'll give them cash to rebuild, and then we will do, so we do psychosocial support. I mean, if you take Banjul, for example, you imagine it's over 1 week now. Some people are living in those houses with water, trying to cook there, trying to do it. So it will have some psychological impact on them, whether we like it or not.
But
so
how do
our
they
teams,
respond to that?
our teams are going around talking to them to give them psychosocial support.
But how do they respond to the psychosocial support? Because we all in Gambia,
but it's not like you going there. You're not going there to
say I'm here for this.
You know, if you are trapped in a situation, or sometimes what you need is somebody to talk to you.
True.
Okay, talk to you through your problems, your challenges, and try to show human, be human.
That's true.
And that could be, that could be. But of course there are professional ways because our volunteers and staff are trained to do those things. So it's basically, that's what we do. We go around, talk to them about hygiene, promotion, what they should and they shouldn't do.
So, Mr. Senghor, before we leave, now that here is where we are, we've been responding all these years, it's been just response. So what do you think is the way forward now as to changing the narrative, where we respond less and then, putting the proper early warning systems together, and just remedy the situation in a way this will not be necessary? Because it's, there's a fatigue of the continuous, process every single year,
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you are the one asking this question. I mean, you know your role in terms of climate change, journalism and climate change. I think the whole issue boils down to attitudinal change in terms of the way we live, the whole issue about mitigation, climate change mitigation, and we all have responsibilities towards that. For us at the Red Cross, we are very concerned about climate change, and we've done a lot, especially last year. We've done a lot in terms of tree planting. We've had a lot of projects with the UN, with the government in order to do tree planting, but that's only one side of it. We also have to think about our future generation, or today's generation. The young people say they're leaders of today, not tomorrow. To really,
for me, it's today and tomorrow.
Today, exactly. So therefore, I think putting the notion of some of the attitude and the behaviors we need to change in terms of the way we live, the carbon emission, the greenhouse gases that we need to, really be on watch in terms of how we do it. So basically, that's what we can do. But on top of that, be prepared, because when people are well prepared, they are informed, the impact of a disaster will all happen, but the impact would be less if people are well prepared, well informed, and well educated. And I think this is where we need to invest more. Prevention is about information, it's about knowledge, it's also about putting the right systems in place so that you can respond in a timely way. For example, in Banjul today, it's over 1 week, and some people are still living in those houses. If we had a system where we know some of these things was going to happen, and we have prepared, sheltered,
like kind
or
of a
some
camp or
yeah,
something.
exactly, shelters and like that. That if these things happen, this is where we move the people. We don't have to all the time go and start looking for the school and all this sort of thing. And these things, these disasters will happen more and more. We are told because climate change has gone to a point where now there will be more flooding and all these sort of things. And one thing I have to say here is that I think we need to watch it. Having seen this flooding doesn't mean that there couldn't be a drought or, you know, food insecurity. Because you have in some situations where you can have a lot of rain, but it sort of have a negative impact in terms of the agricultural part. You know, if there is flooding, it might erode all the nuts, the groundnut, and everything that has been cultivated. So that would have a negative impact on the farming season. So that is where I'm talking about preparedness. So we don't think just today. We think of what are the repercussions. If we take COVID, for example, everybody talks about the food crisis and so on. But we knew, and I have said this to several people at the height of the COVID, that, you know, the impact of the COVID-19 is going to come. And what is going to happen is logical. There will be shortage of basic commodities, especially food items, because people were not able to produce
as expected.
As expected, because at the time, when you look at Asia, for example, it started, COVID started there. So this is where we import our rice and everything. So those 3 months, people could not cultivate. There was no movement. So obviously there was going to be an impact. So we should have, we should have predicted those kinds of things and put in place systems such as increasing the investment in agriculture earlier than now. If we had done that by now, we could have, you know, sort of cushioned.
I just want to know something. I mean, in case, Mr. Senghor, the situation did not change. I mean, in case. We understand schools will open in September, and all these people are lodged in St. Augustine's and St. Joseph. Climate change, due to climate change, I mean, now the rainy season is changing. We're expecting heavy rains in August. It might extend to September. Nobody knows. So now, is there any plan that is put in place in case, I mean, the rain is still coming and schools open? Where are these people going?
Well, actually, we have been thinking about that, and we are working on that as well, because that was why we moved them from St. Joseph to St. Augustine. We are always thinking ahead of the curve, and we are reflecting on that now, and we have some plans that I don't want to reveal here, because we are also, you know, so for us, I think this is very important, and we are not hoping that the people would be there longer, you know, but should it happen, we always, but if should it happen, we always have plan B. I mean, like I said before, this is our core business, and we always think ahead of the curve. We have some discussions with with NDMA, and also with some of the UN agencies like UNFPA, WFP, and so on. And we are reflecting on what can be done immediately in terms of option A and B in case it doesn't work. It's still raining, and pumping that water is good. Whether it will happen in the next 1 week or two, you know, God knows. But for us, I think we have options that we are thinking of.
All right, it's always good to be ahead of things. So, Mr. Senghor, I think that is all we have time for. I'm so happy that you joined us here to tell us all about what the Gambia Red Cross is doing. So we wish you well. We see your volunteers all over the place. You know, Ibrahima, while you were in school, did you ever volunteer with the Red Cross?
Yes, I mean, I volunteered.
Did I investigate them? Them same records. So if you Harlem.
Demal Latrikunda Primary School.
Latrikunda Primary
Wow, Demal Fubu.
Jennifer, we are very lucky that
you can even consult with one of my friends, Dr. Mustafa Njai. He's in the US. I think Mr. Senghor most know him. You can ask Mr. Njai.
You know, Jennifer, we are very lucky that anywhere we went for all this while, we would see 1 or 2 people who have been volunteers, you know, or who have done something for the Red Cross. So we're very lucky.
Okay, I've never volunteered before, but obviously through Youth Dialogue, I've done a lot of programs with the Gambia Red Cross. So one way or the other, I've volunteered.
Exactly. Thank you.
Why you not deny investigate some bit? Them whole, for some reason, it's not sinking in.
I think you must doubt the Sankara.
Yes,
but you proof that.
I mean,
no, that's true.
Yes,
I agree. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Thank you.
So till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program. Bye bye.